Hello, dear listeners. I'm your host, Genevieve Hopkins, and welcome to episode 9 of the Wheel and Cross podcast. Yule has been and gone for this year. Celebrated with friends, a delicious feast, and the burning of the Yule Log, or Ashen faggot in our household. What a lovely way to celebrate midwinter. Before we end this year's Yule season, let's explore the fascinating creatures that inhabit Scandinavian Yule folklore and folk tales. The charming Tomte, or Nisse, the fascinating Julbok, or Yule Goat, the nasty Yule Troll and her 13 Yule Lads, and the terrifying giant Yule Cat. This podcast is free, but if you like my work and would like to support me so that I can continue doing it, please consider a paid subscription. If that is not possible, and you enjoy this podcast, I would really appreciate your reviews on any of the podcasting platforms you use. Feel free to share this podcast and leave comments on the podcast page. Welcome to episode 9 of the Wheel and Cross podcast, Scandinavian Yule Creatures. As always, I would like to acknowledge the custodians of these lands on which I work and live in Australia's capital region, the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and I pay my deep respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and to all First Nations across Australia. The Nisse, also known as the Tomte, is a beloved figure in Scandinavian folklore, deeply woven into the traditions and celebrations of the Yule or Christmas season. This mythical creature is often depicted as a small, 60 to 90 centimetre, elderly man, often with a white beard and wearing traditional Nordic farmers' clothing, including a pointed hat, tunic and boots. According to Scandinavian legend, the Nisse is a magical being who resides on farms and in rural areas, and is believed to be the guardian of the homestead and its inhabitants. In Norway, Denmark, and parts of Sweden, he is typically known as the Julenisse or Julnisse during the Yule season. The word Nisse is derived from the Old Norse word nis or nidsi, which refers to a domestic spirit or household guardian, similar to the Scottish and English brownie, and means dear little relative. In Sweden, he is known as the Tomte, and in parts of Finland as the Tonttu, from the Swedish word tomt, or tontti in Finland, which means plot of land or homestead. Midwinter's nightly frost is hard. Brightly the stars are beaming. Fast asleep is the lonely yard. All at midnight are dreaming. Clear is the moon and the snowdrifts shine, glistening white on fir and pine. Covers on rooflets making. None but the Tomte is waking. Victor Rydberg, 1881. The Nisse is a mischievous and benevolent character, known for his playful antics and acts of kindness. If he is respected, and if the farm, homestead, animals and children are well tended, he is said to assist with farm chores, tend to the animals, and protect the household, especially the children. However, he is also known to be easily offended, and can bring bad luck if he feels neglected or disrespected, if the farm chores are not done, or if the animals or children are mistreated. He's been known to tie cows' tails together, sour the milk, turn things upside down, break things, and even give disrespectful farm workers a thrashing. During the Yule season in Scandinavia, it is customary for families to leave out a bowl of porridge or other treats as an offering to the Nisse, hoping to receive his blessings for a bountiful year ahead. If the Nisse was not given his bowl of porridge with a pat of butter on top, he would become so offended that he might leave the household or ruin the farm's fortunes. In some modern Scandinavian traditions, families leave out a special seat or corner for the Nisse by the hearth, where he can rest and enjoy his treats. Children often write letters to him expressing their wishes for Christmas gifts, or simply thanking him for his watchful presence. The Nisse, or Tomte, was originally associated with the spirit of the land and fertility. Belief in them remained strong, especially in rural areas, even as Christianity spread throughout Scandinavia, claiming that the Nisse or Tomte were in fact the devil. Eventually, the Nisse absorbed some of the attributes of Santa Claus, including the colours of red and white, and he became the gift giver at Yule or Christmas. Astrid Lindgren, Swedish writer and author of the famous children's book series Pippi Longstocking, wrote several charming books about the Tomten, including The Tomten and The Tomten and the Fox. The Tomte also features in another Scandinavian Yule classic, The Yule Tomte and the Little Rabbits. The Tomte or Nisse is a ubiquitous icon of the Scandinavian Yule season, and I love their charming presence amongst my household's Yule decorations. Another pre-Christian icon of the Scandinavian Yule season is the Julbok, also known as the Yule Goat. The Julbok was originally associated with the Norse god Thor, whose chariot was pulled through the sky by two goats, Tangrisnir, tooth grinder, and Tangnjoster, tooth gnasher. These goats were said to have the magical ability to be slaughtered and then brought back to life the next day. They are famously depicted in Marvel's Thor comic book series, and most recently in the movie based on those comics, Thor, God of Love and Thunder. In Old Norse farming communities, the last sheaf of harvested grain was kept aside for Yule celebrations, as it was believed to have magical properties, bringing abundance, fertility, and good fortune, and warding off evil spirits. This sheaf of grain was called Julbok or Juleboken, and was fashioned into the shape of a male goat, often adorned with red ribbons, bells, and other decorations. It was a common practice, and still is in some regions, for neighbours to prank each other by sneaking a Julbok into each other's house, or sneaking the gifted one back without anyone noticing. From around the 17th century, in a tradition similar to the English mumming, guising or wassailing, young men in costumes would go from door to door singing songs, acting out plays, and performing pranks. One person in the group would dress as the Julbok and act particularly rowdy, demanding gifts and capering about. A similar custom was practiced in Eastern Europe, where the ancient Proto-Slavic people honoured the god Devak, also known as Dazbog or Dajbog, during Kolyada, the Slavic Yule or winter festival. Devak was the god of the fertile sun and the harvest, represented by a white goat. A person dressed as a white goat demanding offerings is a key feature of many Kolyada traditions. In the 19th century, a new tradition developed where the Julbok became the Christmas gift giver. One male family member dressed up as the Julbok and gave out gifts to other members of the family. However, this tradition was short-lived due to the increasing popularity of St. Nicholas and Santa Claus traditions from other parts of Europe. The Julbok, as gift giver, was replaced by the Yule Tomte or Yule Nisse, or the Finnish Julbok, which we will learn more about in a future episode closer to the Christmas season. In 1966, the Swedish town of Gävle erected a large Julbok in the town square as an advertisement for the town. It was first constructed by the Gävle Fire Department, and then a group of businessmen, known as the Southern Merchants, financed the annual construction of the Yule Goat. A second goat was erected by the Natural Science Club in 1971, and both organisations have competed against each other for the title of the largest and handsomest goat. Unfortunately, most of the Yule goats that have been built since 1966 have been damaged or completely destroyed by arsonists, despite concerted efforts to protect the goats, including security cameras, guards, and fireproofing. In addition to the joyful Yule characters of the Nisse, Tomte, and Julbok, several rather more fearsome creatures feature in Icelandic Yule folklore. The Yule Troll, or Christmas witch, called Grilla, is a fearsome giantess with a grotesque appearance, hooves for feet, and 13 tails. According to legend, Grilla lives in a mountain cave in Iceland with her third husband, Lepaludi. Their 13 mischievous sons, known as the Yule Lads, and a giant and terrifying Yule Cat. Grilla has an insatiable appetite for naughty children, and during the Yule season in Iceland, which spans from December 12th to January 6th, she emerges from her cave, roaming the countryside to kidnap misbehaving children and take them back to her cave to cook in a large cauldron. The story of Grilla serves as a warning to Icelandic children to be on their best behaviour during the Yule season. The Yule Lads, known as Jólasveinar in Icelandic, are Grilla's 13 mischievous sons. These naughty trolls start visiting children on the 13 nights leading up to Yule, beginning on December 12th, and each one stays for a specific night before departing. The last one leaves on January 6th. During their visits, they place small gifts in well-behaved children's shoes or play pranks on misbehaving children. Each Yule Lad has his own distinct personality and peculiar behaviour, which has changed and evolved over time. The modern names and personalities of the Yule Lads were formalised in a popular poem about the Yule Lads by Johannes úr Kötlum, which was first published in the 1932 book Jólan koma, or Yule is Coming. Please excuse my terrible attempts at Icelandic pronunciation. These 13 Yule Lads are called Steksjarstor, or sheepcoat clod. He sucks the milk from sheep, but is impaired in his mission by his 2 peg or wooden legs. Giljagar, or Galligok. He sneaks into cowsheds and steals milk. Stufur, or stubby. He's abnormally short and likes to steal pans to eat the crust left behind. Vorusleker, or spoon licker. He is tall and thin and steals wooden spoons to lick. Pottasleker, or pot scraper. He licks the leftovers from pots and pans. Askasleker, or bowl licker. He hides under beds, waiting for the chance to steal bowls of food. Hurdaskilir, or door slammer. He likes to slam doors in the middle of the night, scaring people. Skirgamur, or skir gobbler. He has an insatiable appetite for skir, which is Icelandic yogurt. Jungnakreker, or sausage swiper. He loves to hide in the rafters and steal sausages that are left unattended. Glugegäger, or window peeper. He peeks through windows to see if there's anything he can steal. Gateþeffer, or doorway sniffer. He has a long nose that he uses to sniff out laferbrauð, or leaf bread. You can find out more about laferbrauð in episode 6, Winter Feasts. Getkrókur, or meat hook. He uses a hook to snatch any meat left out. And finally, Gartesníker, candle stealer. He follows children to steal their candles. Over time, the Yule Lads' reputation has softened, and they are now mostly known for their playful antics rather than outright terror. Icelandic families often incorporate them into their Christmas celebrations, and it has become a cherished tradition to receive small gifts or playful pranks from the Yule Lads during the holiday season. Our last Yule beast is the Yule Cat, the Jólakötturinn in Icelandic, who is said to live with Grýla and the 13 Yule Lads. It is a massive and fearsome grey and black striped cat with glowing eyes and sharp claws. It is said to prowl the countryside during the Yule season, particularly on Yule Eve, in search of people who have not received any new clothes to wear before Yule. The legend of the Yule Cat has its roots in an old Icelandic tradition that encouraged hard work and rewarded those who contributed to the household's welfare. In the past, it was believed that farmers who worked hard and produced a large quantity of wool throughout the year would be able to provide warm clothing for their families. Those who did not have new clothes to wear for Yule were considered lazy or unproductive. To motivate people to work hard and complete their tasks before Yule, the threat of the Yule Cat was used as an incentive. This fear encouraged everyone, especially children, to finish their chores and contribute to the household's prosperity by ensuring everyone had a new set of clothes for Yule. Today, the Yule Cat remains a popular figure in Icelandic Yule folklore and is often featured in various forms of media such as books, artwork and decorations. The tradition of receiving new clothes for Yule has also evolved into a symbol of care and thoughtfulness towards loved ones, emphasizing the importance of giving gifts that are practical and meaningful. The tradition of Grýla, the Yule Lads, and the Yule Cat serve to instill discipline and obedience in children. In modern Icelandic celebrations, the terrifying aspects of Grýla and the Yule Lads have been toned down, and they are now a light-hearted and cherished part of Icelandic Yule folklore. Except for the Yule Cat, who is still a terrifying prospect for those without new clothes for Yule. I hope you enjoyed this short exploration of the iconic creatures of Scandinavian Yule folklore. Next week, we will dive into the last of the winter and Christmas or Yule-themed topics, looking at the folklore and traditions surrounding two little birds, the robin and the wren. See you next week for episode 10, The Robin and the Wren.